Good morning. It is now 9:30. Welcome to our annual all-resident association meeting. Our order of business, we will have our association meeting and have our reports from our committees. You can't hear me. Am I on back there? Is that better? Okay, got to get it really close. We will have reports from our committees, and we will do the business that we need to do in the association, and then we will bring that to an end and open our final council meeting of 2019. If you haven't gotten coffee and cookies, you might want to jump up right now and go do that. Otherwise, we're ready to begin. Do we have a quorum, Secretary? Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
We have a quorum. We are ready to do business. Thank you.
When you get to the minutes, there's a change in the treasurer's report. Okay. So hold on just a minute.
I'm switching mics so I can sit down. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from December 14th, 2018? Do I have a motion?
I
To
move
accept.
to approve the 2018 minutes.
Do we have a second? We have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes from 2018. That's a long time ago. Are there any questions or discussion? This is apply not just to the council, but to the association members, of which you all are one. So if you approve the minutes, please hold your hand up. The motion is approved. Thank you. Our next order of business is the treasurer's report. And Katie will give that, and she'll talk about how much we took in and what we spent it on.
So last year, we ended with a balance of $247.47. We took in $892 in annual dues, and we spent a total of $835.07, leaving us with an ending balance of $421.20, or 40 cents, excuse me, going into the starting new year. Bev, spend it wisely.
We only have dollar dues, as you all know, and one of the reasons we have dues is we do have a few minor expenses for envelopes, for postage, a few things like that, a little bit for printing. And then if we have plenty, which we did this year, why then we give to the Employee Appreciation Fund, gift fund. And so that's why it seems kind of small. We don't really have a lot of expenses. We are ready. I am doing this according to the way we usually do a council meeting, in order. And our first reporter is Cole Marvin from administration.
Good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas, belated Christmas. Start off with our sales report, and that is we had 2 sales in the month of December. Both of those were cottages. We had 3 move-ins in December. Both of them were cottages. So basically not a lot to sell for our team, thus the low number of sales, but they are selling them as quickly as they become available. So. Christmas has come and gone, and one of the things we wanted to try and do a better job of was managing our line specific to the buffet. Feedback based upon Thanksgiving was that needed addressed, and we tried some new procedures out. And from what I understand via email and just people I've met with today, it sounds as if those procedures certainly helped. What didn't help was full count. Our POS point of sale system was down. It was a nationwide issue. So it wasn't just us, so sometimes misery loves company. But the team adapted to that challenge and I think overcame it. So far from what I understand, Christmas went pretty darn well, regardless of what venue that you dined in. I think some of the changes to the cafe that they did was also well received. So we'll continue to look to get better and work with our dining services committee. The only other thing for me is that construction is clearly underway. We are working our way through that process, and our date of getting the main gate open has already been pushed back a little bit, so we're ready for construction. Going to work to get caught up as much as they can. There was some permitting delays that prevented them from starting on some of the work at the main gate, which is what is really requiring it to be closed for the amount of time that we closed.
Could you speak a little closer to the microphone?
Sure.
Some people haven't.
Okay. So, well, and unfortunately, I'm done. So,
Do we have any questions anywhere? It doesn't have to just be council this time. We have one behind you, Cole, with Ed has a question.
all right, Ed,
They haven't got the mics out yet, Ed. Wait a second.
I see him coming.
Yes, when the main gate will open.
I will repeat the question. Ed's question was, what is my best guess as to when the gate will be reopened? We were targeting January 3rd, I believe, and that is a Friday, so I would probably push it to the 14th is my best guess. Hopefully, we can pleasantly surprise you and open it sooner, but that's my best guess.
Thank you, Cole. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Cole.
All right, thank you.
We have asked the committee chairman to give an annual report, and we hope they'll be the highlights of what they did and not everything they ever did all year, or we could be here all day. And I'm going, as you probably can see, I think the agenda's on the board. You start with accounting and finance. Larry Latham, you're out there somewhere. Oh, there you are. Be sure and speak close to the mic, Larry.
Our committee met in February of this year to review the 2018 audit report and the financial data for the village for 2018. And after that, we met monthly to review the operating results, except during the summer months. In November, we reviewed the 2020 budget in a joint meeting with the Finance Committee of the Board of Directors. The year has been a very good one for the village financially, and I guess in about every way. Net operating income through September 30th was $1.1 million, which exceeded our budget by $835,000. This was primarily due to higher than expected Medicare revenues in the Medicare revenues in the healthcare center, and of course the higher than expected monthly independent living monthly fees from independent living residents. We finally exceeded the budgeted occupancy, and unfortunately we're sort of full right now, but that's a good thing. Net income through September was $3.3 million. This was essentially mostly due to the operating income. Excuse me, I'm not quite together yet this morning. Our increase in cash and equivalents was $5.8 million, and this was mostly due to the entrance fees that were received from new residents and the increase of the investments in our investment portfolio. Of course, as you all know, probably it's been a very, very good year in the stock market. This will not always continue, and one of the goals of the committee is to, for the village to have sort of a rainy day fund, if you will, because the rain will come. Our next meeting will be in February to review the operations for 2019. Thank you.
Don't go away. There may
there
be,
any
are there any
questions?
questions from anybody? Oh, thank you, Larry. Our next report is from our Activities Committee Chairman, Grace Womack.
Hooray for our outstanding activities department under the direction of Connie Amon Skyrock and Kathleen Ross. Connie meets with the 13-member activity committee and Emily Garba, the associate executive director, to review concerts and other major events of the village. The 13 members of the committee serve as members of ceremonies or greeters at the Tuesday and Friday night concerts, and some assist at Saturday night bingo. The activity page in the procedure manual was reviewed and corrections were made to it. Paul Nastaff was added to the team as part activity assistant and part-time AV and media. This team has introduced to us Thursday night at the Rec Center, podcasts, and more innovative ideas. End of report.
Are there any questions of Grace? Thank you, Grace. Our next committee chairman is Kathy Crawford, and she's chairman of Appearance, Buildings, Grounds, and Pool Facility Committee.
You got them all.
Long name.
All right, our committee meets on the second Wednesday of each month, and the residents who have given of their time for this committee are Bobby Bartling, Carmen Bieber, Laura Lee Brawley, Ruth Duncan, Dan Hall, Mary Ann Lavacek, Wynn Holden, Danny McGavick, Maria McMillan, Bob Pachetti. And we also meet with Emily Garba, Matt Roeder, and Richard Cullick. I'd like to thank Mary Ann Lavacek, Carmen Bieber, and Barbara Richards for their time on the committee. They will be stepping off at the end of the year. Joining us recently were Maria McMillan and Dick Tucker will be joining us also for the coming year. So during 2019, the committee met and received monthly reports from administration and on progress being made towards certain projects. And we also gave them our opinions and advice for what it was worth. Those projects include, but they're not necessarily limited to, renovations of the lobby, renovations of memory care unit, garden level, and the first floor over at the healthcare center, plantings throughout the village, and sometimes we would have people that would come to us and ask us about removal of a tree by their cottage, replacing of the canal wall procedures for the use of the grill area by the dog park, and renovations of the swimming pool. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Kathy. Are there any questions from Kathy? Thank you very much. You did a lot this year. Our next report comes from Communications. Ed Kearns, it's your turn.
IT was encouraged to check out telephone reception. In extensive checking, no dead spots were found. We recommended that folks have their hearing aids checked if they don't hear well on a telecoil setting. IT was encouraged on its efforts to implement use of a smartphone or tablet app, AVA, in the SCRM to allow microphone audio to be converted to readable text. This has been successful. The committee has urged the Information Technology Help Desk, run by volunteers manning extension 4444, to keep up their good work. Paul was asked about missing videos on resident apps, notably for resident council meetings. He has restored them. He's also planning to archive older videos so that no more than 2 years will be available on resident apps, but older ones can be seen by contacting IT department. Travis was asked about presentations in Kiwanis, wherein people come with their own computers or flash drives that don't work. Travis will write up some notes that planners for events can use when they talk to potential presenters to increase the likelihood of their checking out their equipment versus what is needed here.
Thank you. Ed, are there any questions of Ed? Thank you very much for your service. Our next report is from Constitution and Bylaws. He'll also get to talk a little bit later after the report, when we're to business. I didn't tell you his name, Marty Whalen. Sorry, Marty.
Sorry, Madam President, I forgot my badge once again. Having an identity crisis.
Get really close to the mic, Marty,
I will do
please. Thank you.
Doris, holler if I, Doris and I have a change in pitch, I guess. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
If you speak directly and we can hear you.
Very
yes.
good. By way of annual report, excuse me, the Constitution and Bylaws Committee had a relatively quiet year in that there were no really contentious issues that came up. Probably the most interesting proposal was the addition of a fifth executive officer to avoid the possibility, which you have right now, of a deadlock tie of the executive committee. That proposal failed, but I'm sure it'll come back. There were two highlights for the year. First was the substitution in the Constitution, or pardon me, in the bylaws of Friendship Village Rules of Order in lieu of Robert's Rules to govern the actions of the council. That will come up a little bit later as a motion to the association. It was approved by the council in October. The second and more important event was the appointment of an ad hoc subcommittee comprised of Mike Ivanich and Pat Gaynor. Mike and Pat, are you here? Stand up so everybody can see you. And these folks are doing a total overhaul of the organic documents of the association and of the council. And they will be proposing probably at the end of the first quarter next year a completely revised Constitution and bylaws. Thank you. Okay, that really concludes the report of the committee.
Are there any questions of Marty? Thank you, Marty. We'll hear from you again in a few minutes. Our next committee is the Dining Committee, and Paul McEwen is the chairman of that.
Good morning. The Dining Committee consists of 10 members, besides myself. Jerry Barcelina, she's the secretary, Jim Beaton, Cheryl Sisney, Francis Curtis, Betty Krings, Dan McGavick, Dave Rushlow, Betty Ann Turner, and Diane Whalen. And I sure appreciate all the work they've done. They've been very attentive to all the meetings that we've been to. I won't go through everything that happened this year, but just the major things. One is that the new point of sale terminals were installed. It's a system called Full Count, and apparently it's up some of the times, according to Cole, anyway. The pantry area has been refreshed, and many new items have been added to it. The buffet salad bar has been updated and is much nicer now. We have a new executive chef, Travis Verhalter, and a new sous chef, Justin Moldenhauer. Two good German names. And so I don't know why we're not getting more German food, but there they are. And they're doing a good job, we think. They're really, and they attend our meetings. And there's new menus in the fireside venue. And one thing of note is that Brian Banks, our dining services director, has been gone in December and will probably be gone part of January. He had an operation on his foot. You know, you saw him scooting around on a little one-leg scooter, and he's trying to get that all fixed. So we hope to see him back and moving well. The dining staff and the committee members during the year reviewed 522 comment cards. And we really appreciate the residents submitting those, including the positive ones. They The dining staff likes to know what people like, and as well as the suggestions and some negative comments that come in, and they're all very important to us. The staff and the committee are dedicated to providing tasty and nutritious meals for the students, for the residents and the guests. I didn't have students written down. While maintaining the food quality and the safety. And one of the things that you've noticed recently is the refrigeration has had problems. And the reason is that they shut those down because if they can't maintain the temperatures, then there's a question of food safety. And so it's been a little bit of an inconvenience, but hopefully they'll all be fixed here pretty soon. And I also should mention that David Hirschberger and other members of the Morrison company that actually is what Brian Banks works for, have come in to assist the dining services situation while Brian is gone. So that's my report.
Thank you, Paul. Are there any questions of Paul? First time ever. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Our next report is from Jay Adler. He is the chairman of the Elections Committee.
The annual election of 13 junior representatives and 1 senior representative for next year, 2020, took place between the 28th of October and the 1st of November. 761 ballots were requested, 454 ballots were returned, resulting in a 60% participation rate. Well done on the participation rate. 4 of the 13 areas had 2 candidates, and 1 area had 3 candidates. No ties occurred that would have required a follow-on election. Of particular note, Area 9, the area with 3 candidates, had a participation rate of 83%, the highest rate of response the village saw this year. Well done to Area 9 Senior Representative Jim Beaton and to Junior Representative Bev Rogers for getting out the vote. Election results were posted in the alcove, sent to the Executive Committee, and all senior area representatives on the 1st of November. An article was included in the Villager, also indicating the vote results. And the matrix of election results provided to the chair of the nominations committee so that they could do their part in selecting next year's executive officers. A thank you to election committee members Doris Clement, Wilma Mirich, Tom Pagel, Jenny Mason, and Nunnenkamp as the activities director for making this year's election a smooth and efficient process. I'm available for questions.
Are there any questions? We have one here.
I hope we did better than the national average on voting.
Time will tell. Any other questions?
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you, Jay. Our next committee is the Employee Appreciation Committee. Tom Poole, who is cheering, I'm sure.
Good morning. The members of the Employee Appreciation Gift Fund Committee worked hard this year in planning and preparing for the gift fund over the summer and executing the plan in October and November, and in preparing the checks and planning for the employee check presentation ceremony. This was done from November 24th to December 6th. In 2019, Employee Appreciation Gift Fund was the most successful ever, with $401,658 raised. On behalf of the employees, the Gift Fund Committee would like to thank the residents for your generosity, which took this year's gift fund to a level of support previously considered impossible and previously not identified with Friendship Village Tempe. And I'd like to add one other thing. I won't report to resident council again until September of 2020. I'll try to come to as many meetings as I can, And if anyone in the audience or if anyone on council has a question, I will be happy to answer it at that time, but I won't be reporting again until September. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions from the audience or anybody, any resident? Thank you, Tom. Very, very successful campaign. Our next report is from our Health Services Committee Chairman, Richard Brown. Richard, you may need to pull the microphone down.
There we go. The Health Services Committee is concerned with educating the residents regarding the health center, Nunnenkamp Assisted Living, and the Kelly Fitness Center. We have a committee that's we recruit, and we choose our own committee chairman for the next year. Our most important task is to make you aware of what's going on in the healthcare center. And to that end, we sponsor 4 accounting and admissions forums through the year. We do the advertising, getting the people out. Nanette Soudet is one of the presenters, and Caitlin Noble regarding that. We had a total of 104 of these forums through the year, and we had 168 residents or their families attend that. The other thing that we do, which we're proud of, is a program that started 2 to 3 years ago to replace all of the beds in the healthcare center. Some of these beds were as much as 10 years old. The project is sponsored by your village gift shop, and at the present time we've replaced 82 beds in the last year. We hope to complete that process next year with an addition of another 42 beds. Our committee members attend family focus meetings in the health center and quality assurance meetings also. We will be having Penny Ewan as our new chairman for the coming year. We encourage our members to visit the healthcare center or Nunnenkamp on a weekly basis, either visiting friends or volunteering. And we consider ourselves the eyes of Jadine Schmidt. Jadine attends our meetings when she's available, and she's a big help to us. I think that ends our report. Do you have questions?
Are there any questions of Richard? Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Our next report is from the Safety Committee. This has been a little difficult year. Our chairman is Jerry Hall, and she is not in good health. We had another chairman in the beginning, but bless his heart, Stan Settles has stepped up and taken the reins until Jerry is able to come back. Thank you, Stan. And he has a report.
Yeah, this is one of the strangest tours of duty I've ever been in. First year I've been on the committee. Couldn't even find out who the committee was. I didn't know how to find it on resident apps and so on. So it has been an interesting year. The best news of it all, in more than one way, is that Jerry Hall is out of the healthcare center. She's back in their unit up there, and appeared to be doing fine. I said, well, so I asked her when I saw her yesterday. I said, "Oh, you're going to be there to give the report tomorrow?" No. So she's pretty smart. So I didn't step forward. I didn't step back fast enough. It was an interesting year. Been commented there. Early phase had a different chair, and we had a different process for a meeting than I'd ever experienced. not necessarily good or bad, it's different, but it was really, I characterized it as a roundtable discussion of topics, primarily led by the chairs, items that came up. The real takeaway from it for me was the amazing knowledge that our staff people had. That anything that came up, they were right on it, they knew the answers, were able to explain it. And again, I was brand new to this, so I was just amazed. An example that came up just like that was you may not, those of you in cottages wouldn't realize we had the elevators shut down for one incident there. Turned out it wasn't very long, but somebody working on the remodeling here didn't do something quite right. So all 3 elevators shut down. Well, to cottage people, you say, well, that's not a problem. If you live on the 6th floor, it's a problem. And my wife actually made it. She walked up and got there. I had a different approach. I went down and had a little breakfast, and by that time it was fixed. But I raised the question if we could wire it differently so that if it shuts down, it's only one of them that shuts down. A day later, they got back to us and said, no, you can't do that it's because of the one door that opens both ways. So they're really on top of it. It was impressed with that. Again, a number of different things came up. We won't go through each one of them. And there are a number of issues. The last meeting was really a very interesting one. We actually had last real meeting. Matt Roeder, the new director. I don't think he's here, but anyway, he actually chaired the meeting because and that was welcome. And it also gave us a chance to understand him and his approach. It was particularly good. So we had excellent support there. An example, another thing that came up is quite different is golf cart maintenance, and that was about half of the meeting was spent talking about, and these are residents' golf carts. And that also exposed, we call it the safety committee. I call it the SST committee, and it's not like the supersonic transport, but it's safety, security, and transportation. And to summarize, we're in very interesting times for that kind of a subject with construction going on, and follows my one rigid rule: be flexible. We're going to see some real challenges. Already seeing some now, but I've been really impressed with our staff people, and I'm thankful for them. The more I see what we do, and I'm looking forward to this next year, particularly seeing Jerry get back and be well, so we take care. One little minor challenge is that all the continuing members of the committee live in apartments. So if you know good people, and we have a whole process with the new people coming in to appoint them, but I think it's critical that we get people that represent the cottages in there, because the problems are quite different. You talk about security, safety, transportation. Well, our main concern is the elevators. And people in the cottages don't care about that. They're worried about carts and safety. Safety, to me, I'm probably about the only person in the room that's had an actual course in safety. I was in engineering a few years ago, but that's something we take for granted around here. But I think particularly with construction, we can't do that. It's worse than normal, but it's really scary to drive 10 miles an hour through our campus with all the screws and things going on. And that summarizes it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you, Stan. Are there any questions of Stan?
Well,
We have one.
What types of safety issues were identified this year?
okay, the main thing that came up was talking about carts and people driving those, and some kind of funny incidents. I won't go into detail. I didn't think you could get a DUI driving one of these carts around the inside, but I understand it has happened. the again, awful lot of them were just very, very specific things to having to do with fencing or the various detail problems that I did. And I wasn't paying too much attention, to be honest. I was a new kid on the block, and I was just here to figure out what was going on. So that's not a very good answer.
Yeah.
I can give you more detail.
Well, and I think maybe one of the reasons the new fence is along the canal is for safety purposes. So
that was a good
an
example.
accomplishment
There was a lot of discussion about that and how to do it. And
Yeah. Thank you, Stan. Are there any other questions? We have another one here. Wait for the microphone, please. Thank you.
It's probably a short-term issue, but it's the Evergreen Gate. And people who are parking along that street, then that narrows the lane down to one car. And we've almost had an accident. We were going slow, but they had come around that corner and there was a car parked there. So it can be an issue.
yeah, I think that's a good illustration of what we're going to have in the transition with the construction. And yeah, I have various nicknames for that little stretch in there.
Yeah, that is,
Those won't be
and we'll hope that,
divulged in this meeting.
we'll hope that the main gate is open soon.
Yeah,
Are there any other questions?
I think-
Thank you, Stan.
Thanks for your patience.
Our next report is from our Welcome Committee co-chair, Ron Newth.
Madam Chair, area residents and members of the council and residents out here. In the year between November 2018 and November 2019, Friendship Village of Tempe has admitted 79 new residents. The Welcome Committee has presented these with a welcome letter and packet, and we assigned resident hosts to them all. The monthly welcome coffee of that period introduced 74 of them to the community. Welcome Committee mission is to ease the transition into Friendship Village by introducing them to us, answer any questions about their new environment, introduce them to our friends, and share a meal with them. Our committee consists of 23 enthusiastic and friendly residents, and we are very pleased with their efforts. Our coffees had 11 programs this past year. There were 9 resident presenters and 2 from staff. We all were interesting and informative, especially Bullwinkle and, are you back there? At the end of 2019, 4 of our members left after their 5 years of service. We anticipate fewer new residents will move in 2020, and hopefully there won't be quite as busy as we have been the last 3 years. Our new committee chair is Pam Holden, and she's right over there. Any questions?
Are there any questions? Thank you, Ron. I'm not sure it's customary for the president to give a report, but I thought I would. I guess I have that prerogative. Our goal for 2019 has been to continue the use of electronic communication with the council, the committees, and the residents. A really big thanks to our secretary, Sandy Reinhardt, who was able to make this happen so that we have accomplished our goal. I'm sure it will continue to improve as the years go by because we all learn more about that. We now have a button for council activities and information for the resident council on the resident council button on the community apps. If you haven't looked at it, you will be able to find all kinds of things about our group. A few months back, we probably had the shortest meeting on record. And then in October, we probably had the longest. We considered several motions. The major one was that we discontinue the use of Robert's Rules of Order in favor of council rules of order. This motion was presented is being presented to the association today. The council recommended that that be approved, but that will be up to you. We also agreed to give $800 to the Employee Appreciation Gift Fund, as I mentioned earlier. We had the election of new members for the 2020 council, as Jay reported to you. The new members will be installed at our council meeting, which will follow this meeting, and you are all welcome to stay for that. On that same, today we will be meeting with, and also installing our new officers, but first they will have to be elected. I do thank you for letting me be your president. It has been a privilege. I want to thank the council members, the committee chairs, and our audio-visual group who has done a wonderful job. The day we had the short meeting, it took them longer to set up the microphones than the meeting lasted, so they do a lot of work. Bob Bunchett, Max Brawley, Cheryl Kirk, and Jean Raleigh have been doing the most, and they've recruited a new member who will learn how to do these things too. We do have business to take care of, so we will be doing that. First of all, is there any old business? And we're talking association, not council now. The new business then is the presentation of the motion to change the bylaws. And was Marty had to leave? Oh, there you are, Marty. You moved. I lost you. Marty will present that motion.
It was a long meeting. You had me occupying this podium to the point where I became convinced that Cole Marvin was going to charge me for rent. But at any rate, we did come to the conclusion that it ought to be done. And the motion is to strike all reference in section 8.1 of the bylaws, strike all reference to Robert's Rules of Order, and substitute in lieu thereof the following. I can read this into the record if you care.
Okay, thank you.
It would be rules of order. 1, the president shall preside over and act as chair of all meetings at the council, and shall conduct such meetings in a manner that will provide notice and an opportunity to be heard to all members of the council. As chair of the meeting, the president shall approve the agenda and determine all questions of procedure. In deciding procedural issues, the chairman may, but shall not be obligated to, consult with the council's parliamentarian and other resources, including Robert's Rules of Order or the ABA Modern Rules of Order. Paragraph 3. All actions of the council shall be upon motion duly made and seconded by council members and receiving an affirmative vote of a majority of the members present. Paragraph 4, unless the president determines otherwise, the order of business for the meeting of the council shall be 1, welcome and announcements, 2, administration report, 3, action items, 4, old business, 5, new business, 6, committee reports, 7, call to constituents, and 8, adjourn. And that is the motion, that language be.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
We have a second to the oh, there's one out there too, I didn't see it. Are there any questions or discussion? Now, this is asking the association to approve this. So all council members and all of you are members of the association. All those in favor of approving the motion, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed to the motion? The motion is approved. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Madam President. I must say that was considerably quicker with the association than with the
Indeed.
council.
Shirley Abbott, are you here anywhere? I guess she is not. Oh, she's out of town. I guess I didn't realize that. She may have told me and I forgot. She was chairman of the nominating committee who have decided on a slate of officers to present for election. So Katie, do you have that list? Would you read for us the slate of officers being presented for election?
So President is our current Vice President, Joan Fenton. Vice President, Ralph McMillan. Secretary stays as Sandy Reinhardt, and Treasurer will be Beverly Rogers.
I need a motion to elect this slate of officers. Ed? It has been moved that we elect these officers. Is there a second? We have several seconds. Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion? Then I will present it for a vote. All those in favor of approving the slate of officers for 2020, please raise your hand. Thank you. Are there any opposed? Thank you. The new officers have been elected. Thank you. We are going to close the association meeting and open the council meeting. You are all invited to remain. We hope that you will. Our council meeting will not repeat all of those reports. We've already had those today. And so what we mainly will be doing is thanking our retiring senior representatives and seating our new council members and our installation of our new officers. So our association meeting is closed. Thank you for coming. Our council meeting is now open, and we need to approve the minutes for November 29th, 2019. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you, Bev. Bev Carter moves that we approve the minutes. Is there a second? I have a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. The minutes are approved. The treasurer's report, I assume, is very similar to what we've already had, but I'll let you do it again.
Identical. Closing balance, $421.40.
Okay, thank you. We have a question.
Madam President, that's...
Speak close, really, and you have to push the button, hold it down.
That's not what it says on our paper. It says $1,247.34. It does not reflect the $800 that went to the Employee Appreciation Fund. Can that be corrected, or am I missing something?
No, you're not missing something. That was me. Katie has advised me that I made errors in the money presented on the agenda, and those have been corrected, and that will be placed in the records.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. Sometimes we get a little crossed up on things. I guess that's typical. Is there any old business?
Yes, Grace has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Grace, I didn't see you. You need a microphone so we can all hear.
I had a report from the Activities Committee, and it's not on the agenda, so can I do it under old business, or?
Oh, yeah, well, you can. I didn't realize you had a different one for the council meeting. Why don't you just come up and give it, and we'll let you. I hope we're not so rigid that we can't just do these things that need to be done.
Well, didn't particularly pertain to the annual report. Connie will be on vacation January 2nd and 3rd and back on the 6th. And the first pancake breakfast for 2020 will be January 7th at the Rec Center from 8 to 8:45 a.m. And the next villager is January 10th. And the first phase of SCRM AV upgrade will be January 23rd and 24th. The rest of the upgrade is scheduled for mid-February. In the non-Antidarian, it's for those over 90 or over celebration, will be Thursday, January 30th at 2 p.m. in the Skirm Auditorium.
Oh, thank you, Grace. That's nice to be updated on what's coming up. We appreciate that a lot. Thank you. I think then our next piece of business is our new business, and we have certificates for our retiring council members. And would someone hand these to you? You're going to do that? Okay. Our first one goes to Katie Boxley, our treasurer, and what area were you in? 1. Oh, of course, area 1. Our next one is to Dick Schaefer.
But Dick's going to be a senior rep, so I don't know why that's.
Oh, you don't know why? He's a junior rep now?
Yep.
Okay.
He's been everything.
You've been both, maybe.
Yes, he has.
Okay, and you're going to continue. Well, we have a certificate for you anyway. You might as well have it. And we have one for Dan McGavick, who is retiring too.
And where is Dan?
Dan's over there in the blue
Okay,
shirt.
Dan, thank you.
And our next one goes to Diane Whalen, who is also, I believe, a senior member. And Ken Moore. And Tom Pagel. And Jean Edwards. You usually sit on the other side, but it's handy for you to be there this time. And then on the other side, we have Ann Bergen, who is retiring. Thank you for your service. We thank all of you for your service. And Jim Beaton. Paul McEwen. Jan Nevin. And Marianne Halvacek, who is not here today. We thank you all for your service. We will miss you, but there will be some replacements in a moment when we get to that. In fact, that's what we're going to do next. I have not checked with the members in the audience, or the association members, to see if they're all here, but we will find out now. Area 1, well, actually, Area 11, but Bob is not here today. Bob Helmbolt was a junior representative, but he had not been elected, he was appointed. So he has been now elected senior representative from Nunnenkamp. We have Ralph McMillan, who will be the junior rep for Area 1. Where are you, Ralph? Are you here? You may come up, and then Area 1, where are you? You come on up to the table. Area 2, we will seat Rosemary Piccini. Rosemary, I know, I saw you earlier. There you are, come on up. And Dan, you have to give up your seat to Rosemary. Dan, wait. And I hope you brought your book. If you didn't, you need to be sure and get your notebook to her. Area 3 is Vera Hancock. Is Vera here? Yes, she is. Come on up. The senior rep from Area 3 will give up their seat. Thank you, Diane. Area 4 is Beverly Van Amberg. Beverly, are you here? You are. Good. And you need to, the senior rep needs to give up his seat for Area 4. We have a little trouble with this. I don't understand quite how this is not working, but it should. Yes, thank you. Area 5 is Pat Martell. Pat, are you here? Good, you may come up. I'm just going by the list I have. Area 6 is Linda Hurlbert. Thank you, Linda. Come on up. Thank you, Tom. You knew that you were going to have to get out of there, didn't you? Area 7 is Dale Bowen. Did I pronounce that right, Dale? Thank you. Area 8 is Marjorie Maud, and I believe she's out of town. Area 9 is Elaine Kane, and she's out of town. Area 10 is Bob Smith. Are you still here, Bob? I knew I'd seen you. Area 11 is Nunnenkamp. Mark Mowry, are you here? I did not see you, okay. Area 12 is Barbara Bruce. And Area 13 is Jean Higgins. Jean, are you here? Oh, is that her? I think you're probably supposed to be over here somewhere.
I love it.
And this is all of our new, thank you, Jay, for your help, for your leading traffic and taking care of traffic. Joan Fenton, our vice president, has something to say.
I want to acknowledge Dick Schaefer. I am supposed to have been the junior rep. Dick's done all the work this year and was chosen to be our senior rep for the coming year. That's Area 2. So thank you, Dick, for all your hard work.
So technically, he should still be sitting at the table. Well, we only went by the ones we had, so that's why the chairs are not exactly in order. But I guess you'll forgive us for that. I think that we are ready to close our meeting. Sandy, you have something to say? Oh, that's right, we have to install our officers, don't we? I'm not sure that we have a very formal installation, but our new treasurer is, I have the list here. Oh, here we are. Our new treasurer is Bev Rogers. I'm sorry, Bev. Thank you. And Katie will give up her seat. Our secretary will continue, Sandy Reinhardt, which will help our new president a lot because she's so good with the audio-visual things. And our new vice president is Ralph McMillan. And I'll give Joan my seat in a moment when I get finished, which I almost am. I really appreciate so many of you coming for the meeting today. I have already thanked a lot of you, but I thank you all for your participation. My friend and neighbor, Matt Hassett, wrote me a little limerick as I am ready to leave. And this is how it goes. My time as your leader is done. There are no more committees to run. I served as your president. Now I'm just a resident. Thank you. It's been lots of fun. And I turn over a gavel, which I never used, to our new president. I believe it was made by Zeke Proust, who was president a few years ago and very active in the wood shop. So enjoy your, where'd you go, Joan? I turned and you were gone. Enjoy your presidency. It's all yours now. Thank you. And thank you all for coming. The meeting is adjourned. Actually, I should let her adjourn it.